It's 12:04 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. It's Wednesday, time for Helping Seniors of Brevard, and let's get things underway. Here's the host and executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard, Kerry Fink. Hi, Kerry.
Hi, John Harper, and thank you. And it's always a pleasure to join up lunchtime on Wednesdays. That should just be like, everybody just mark that on your calendar. We'll have lunch together on Wednesdays right here on the radio for Helping Seniors Radio on 90.3 FM, WEJF. And we also want to welcome the online listening audience who tunes in literally all over on WEJF.net. So on behalf of our president and founder, Joe Steckler, and our education specialist, Kim Bernard, our entire Helping Seniors team, welcome to the show today. So glad that we have... I consider you like I would. This is me hyping this, but I would say the world-renowned reverse mortgage expert, Barbara McIntyre with reverse mortgage funding. How are you today?
Well, quite an introduction there.
But I feel
great.
like you've earned that because you have really. You answered all of Joe's questions, which that's not an easy place. Joe is going to make sure this works for seniors, right?
Right.
And then as we've worked through all these different things that seem to be going on, you've been kind of steadfast. And I've seen over time how people are looking more and more at reverse mortgages as part of their retirement planning.
Right. It really is a smart mortgage, and it's one that you can carry into retirement even if you don't intend to use it until years from now. It's just got so many benefits and features that, like I always say, knowledge is power. So just finding out about it as you're approaching retirement in your 60s, you start looking at what your forward plans are going to be and where you want to live in retirement, and then considering how housing wealth should be placed with the overall plan. A reverse mortgage is the only real way to do that. So
yeah, and we're going to get a little bit into this as a main focus for our radio program today, because now is probably the moment. We're watching a lot of stuff on news. There's all these different, you listen to experts. Even the experts can't agree right now on what a few months down the road would bring and those kind of things. So right now, though, it does seem like all the things are coming together in a way that could make this the most opportune time to put some money back into your bank account and tap into what you have available in terms of equity through that reverse mortgage, because the value of your home is high.
Absolutely.
The interest rates, I think we're going to get more into this as we go along,
Mm-hmm.
but the interest rates are kind of prime for what you're trying to do with this right now, and there's a lot of reasons to think about it.
Right. Absolutely true.
So we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that. We're going to start off the show, though. We need to talk a little bit about COVID. Mm-hmm. We keep talking about COVID, and we need it to go away.
Yes, we do.
But one of the reasons that apparently it's not moved away as fast as we want is because we still have a vaccination rate that isn't what everybody, it's gotten so political, it's very difficult. But I think everybody agrees you get the vaccination, it's going to move us in the right direction.
Right, that's exactly what what we are told, and the proof's in the pudding based on the number of people that are actually getting COVID and having to be hospitalized. The statistics we see that those people that get terribly ill were people who opted for one reason or another not to get vaccinated.
Yeah, you and I were looking at just before the show. In fact, we reposted this onto the Helping Seniors of Brevard Facebook page, but Brevard County government actually did a chart that, I wish there was a way to show you this chart, because it kind of really, I think, distills it down beautifully. But there's a green column and there's a red column. And what they're trying to show in this chart is the number of people who are hospitalized here in Brevard County. This was on August 16th, so just a day or so back. And it was showing that the number of people who are fully vaccinated who are in Brevard County hospitals, are you ready for this? 18.
Yeah.
So all this stuff we hear about hospitals getting clogged up and challenges with the waiting rooms and all those different things, 18 fully vaccinated people are in the hospital. Now, are you ready for the number for not fully vaccinated?
Shocking.
489.
That's right.
And, I don't care where you sit on the political aisle, where you sit on what you think is accurate or not. That is a statistic that tells it all right there.
Right. And I was so shocked to see a week or two back that Vieira Hospital had stopped all elective surgeries. They had put up a tent to take ER when people go to the emergency room, that if it is not related to a COVID illness, that they're seeing them in a tent outside the emergency room to keep a separation. I mean, the numbers going through the door that are terribly ill are just skyrocketing.
So I really have to wonder, the vaccine is free.
Right.
You don't pay for it. I mean, well, I guess at some point we paid for it, but, you don't have to pay for
Right.
it. They are literally begging you to come in. You don't even have to make an appointment anymore. It's just like walk in, get the shot. Nobody's fussing with you. You got to have your vaccine card or anything like that. This is about you.
Right. It was interesting, Kerry. There was something on the national news recently, and it was a woman who was in the hospital, was starting to turn around and starting to get better, but she had really been ill. And she had not gotten a vaccine. And I was, they were asking her about that. And interestingly, she said, "I'm just so mad at myself," she said. And she was mad at herself because she didn't get the vaccine, but it wasn't because she was opposed to the vaccine. It wasn't that it was political. It was just that she didn't make the time to get where she needed to go to get the shot. And I was like, wow. That's what people really need to hear, is we need to get back to really telling everybody, and certainly I see it all the time, all the different places you can go to walk in to get a vaccine, but making sure people that need to be able to be taken there or have resources that we know who isn't taking the shot because they can't get to it.
I was thinking early on, and it's funny, one day we'll all write books about living through COVID, right?
Right.
But if you think about it, when they first told us, let's have 30 days to stop the spread, and everybody was really concerned. We didn't know a whole lot about COVID. We didn't know, it really looked pretty terrifying from that side of it. And I remember as we were talking about it, when they finally said, hey, we have a vaccine, and I remember when the Brevard Health Department said, okay, we're going to start offering vaccines. And I remember people waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get on the phone to make sure. John Harper, I think, was one of those who made sure, because, they were telling us, let's make sure the seniors stay safe, since this really seems to be hitting them the hardest. And so let's stay safe. But I mean, there we are. People getting up at 4 in the morning, waiting, trying to dial in like they're calling into a radio contest or something.
Exactly. I was one of those people.
To get that appointment,
get an appointment
and get those shots done. And I know you can speak to this too. After you got your shots done and you were through that 2-week period, I mean, didn't you just give you a great deal of self-confidence and like, I'm less afraid now?
Absolutely. I that period of time waiting for that shot and the second shot, just feeling so vulnerable, just didn't, the lockdown, staying away from my grandchildren, my nephews and nieces, who are all first responders. My daughter and my nieces are teachers. I just stayed clear of everybody, and I felt so, secluded and worried for them too, because they weren't given their shots either, but they were on the front line. It took a long time for all the firemen to get their shots. So it just was terribly scary to think that people aren't taking the vaccine by choice is just mind-boggling to me.
Well, yeah, and I remember when I remember we'd sit around the radio station each week and say, okay, now how many people have had their vaccinations? And it would go from like one person to two persons, and then we finally got to the point, I remember early this year, we were finally able to go ourselves and get the vaccination done. Mm-hmm. So the question is, why would you sit there today? Now, I mean, there's going to be a certain legitimate percentage of people who have some sort of a reactionary problem or something like that. This is important why you would talk with your doctor first, I would think. Mm-hmm. But short of that, it seems like a little bit of it. I've heard the term medical mutiny. She's like, no,
Yeah, I know.
And then we hear the horror stories of somebody who winds up in the hospital with COVID saying, can you vaccinate me now? Well, it's
No.
now we got to try to deal with what you got.
And how many people, and because you got it and became, an asymptomatic spreader of it, how many people are going to get sick because you helped that happen? I would feel devastated if I thought I had chosen not to be vaccinated and then people I knew or I was around ultimately became ill.
Yeah, and now
it would
we're
just
talking,
be horrible.
Right. And now we were talking also before the show about how you because you deal with the public a lot. You're meeting with them about reverse mortgages and different things. And you said you've really gone back, even though you're fully vaccinated, you go back and you do honor the mask protocol and say, I'm going to wear the mask. And
I do.
When I finally had it explained to me this way, is that yes, you're vaccinated, but yes, you might have a case of it. And it shouldn't be difficult for you, but if you're asymptomatic, you could be spreading it to a lot of people that didn't get the vaccine.
Right. I wear a mask everywhere I go. Certainly, it's easy to consider doing that today because we know that the COVID virus is just out there and in our county and all of Florida running rampant. So wearing a mask, to me, nobody has to tell me to do that.
Yeah, it's just a good thought. John, you want to?
Yeah, Terry and Barbara, a monoclonal antibody treatment site has opened on Merritt Island at Kiwanis Park, and that is now open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and that site also offers COVID-19 test as well. For information and for appointments, you're asked to call 844-770-8548. That's 844-770-8548.
Okay, thank you, John, for sharing that. And, again, as we close out this little segment about COVID, and please get your vaccination. Nobody's fussing at you. Big Brother isn't watching you. This is up to you because this could save your life and the lives of the people around you. I just want to share that statistic one more time from the Brevard County government. They were telling us the hospitalizations in Brevard County on August 16th, 2021. And I'm telling you, if you get a chance, go to the Facebook page for Helping Seniors. You'll see this little graphic, and it's even better than I can describe it. 18 patients are being treated in the hospitals right now in Brevard County who are fully vaccinated. Just 18. It's, less than 2 dozen. Mm-hmm. Out of how many people? 650, almost 700,000 people? 18. Mm-hmm. But we have 489 not fully vaccinated. So what's taxing the medical system for everybody else is the people who don't have the vaccination. And so now all these other things like you're talking about get slowed down, or, much needed surgeries and other things have to get put off because we have to look out for folks. We have to take care of them. So please get your vaccine. It's free. You don't even have to make an appointment. All the drugstores are set up for that. There's so many places. You were just hearing from John Harper about another opportunity that you could head up to. So with that, we'll leave the topic of COVID and move on to the topic of reverse mortgages. Because, as you watch all this stuff in the news and try to figure out what you think might happen next, I think it's getting tougher and tougher. Everybody can make a guess at it, but nobody really knows. But the thing that we do know for sure, and I heard somebody on TV just today make this comment, you have to make your decisions based on the best available information you have at this moment. And we talked about what you do you've gotten so busy with reverse mortgages that you've actually kind of brought in an understudy because you're having to keep up with all the work. Right. But this is really a good time to look at a reverse mortgage, isn't it?
It really is. Property values this last year have really increased. And, people, especially because of COVID and staying home, I think many people started considering, what can I do in my home to make my home really perfect for me to continue to be here? And so remodeling and doing getting the house really safe and secure to stay in, deciding that aging in place was what they really wanted to do, and where is the money going to come from when I need services to bring into my home. So having increased property values and having very low interest rates, reverse mortgage is a terrific way to get access to value from your house without an obligation to make a principal and interest payment. So retirees, the last thing they want is to get a mortgage that's going to force them to make a monthly payment out of a budget that is pretty much going to be fixed. When we retire, our income no longer is, for most people, it's not changing. Many people just rely on Social Security. And then some are fortunate enough to have dividends coming from investments, but not everyone. And baby boomers, that's what I am. We are the most underprepared group of people heading into retirement, and our house for a lot of us is really our biggest asset. So taking a look at how that house can be actually put into a way, it can be utilized in a way that can actually give you a guaranteed resource for money as you continue to get older. And that's what a reverse mortgage is. And, again, knowledge is power. So my phone absolutely rings off the hook. And I love sharing with people the facts about this mortgage, dispelling the myths that, for one, the bank is buying your house, or if you do that, there'll be no equity for your children when they inherit your home after you die. And so many misunderstandings about this product. And I love helping people sift through that and deciding if it is something that's good for them. Sometimes it's not. There are people that say, well, my long-term plan is, heck, I'm going to live here a couple more years and then I'm going to sell my house, move into the fountains, and let someone else cook for me forever. And if that's the plan, absolutely do not do a reverse mortgage.
Right.
No use. It's no point.
But, I was going to just say that to you, is that one of the things that is pretty interesting when you look at the whole thing is most people, if you do a survey and you say, how do you want, what's your aging plan? That's a big thing. Joe Steckler, our president, has been on from day one is we
Planning.
all need an aging plan. We make a hurricane plan, right? If they tell us a tropical storm is on the way, we know there's certain steps we want to take. Doesn't mean we want the tropical storm.
No.
We absolutely don't, but we need to be prepared. And that's part of the lesson of the aging plan is can we think ahead to some things that might happen? We certainly hope and pray they don't, but if we run up to them, then at least we've pre-thought about it and had a way to deal with it. I have talked to elder law attorneys, so many excellent elder law attorneys, and there's a couple of things that always comes up. They wish the person had called them 30 days before because something happened, and now there is not an opportunity. It's sort of like when we were talking about the COVID shot earlier. Now you're in the hospital. Wow, what a difference 30 days could have made, right?
Sure. It's absolutely true.
But the point of this is that when you look at a reverse mortgage and you consider those options, most people, they tell you they want to stay at home. They want to age in place. And so then, like you said, if you're going to some sort of a fixed income, maybe it's Social Security, maybe it's Social Security plus a few things, but typically, your high earning years are kind of done. And so the house is still going to need some help at certain points.
Right.
You may want to make it safe to stay home, right? You get rid of some of those things that could be trip hazards or that are things that make it more difficult.
Even put in the shower tubs you see advertised, that where you can rather than try to navigate getting in and out of a bathtub or slip and fall in a shower, you go ahead and pay to have a shower tub installed. And those are funds that your house can actually pay, give you the money to pay the contractor to put that in. And boy, would that change your ability to be able to care for yourself in your home.
Exactly. And not only that, it's like you said, if you find as the years go on that you may need some help in the home, now you have a resource to use funds towards that as well.
Absolutely.
So it really feels like it gives you a lot of opportunity and a lot of power to really do the most you can in your aging years. And I guess one of the questions that comes up for me is like most of us in earlier years, you need a new roof, so you might go take out a home equity loan or things like that, but that has to get paid back.
Sure.
And the thing with the reverse mortgage, right, is that it's entirely up to you if you want to pay it back or not pay it back.
That's right. And if you do pay it back, generally, depending on what loan you use, because the reverse mortgage has many options, it's very flexible. So depending on which loan you decide to use, if you do make payments back to the mortgage, it becomes a revolving line of credit. And you can draw it back out the next time you have a need. So you can, it's just so flexible. And what I find people that I work with in a gamut of age, as early as 62 and as late as 92.
Wow.
And I see that they're in control. I think the hardest part for people as they age and they are on limited income and don't have cash resources, a place to go to get money, is that they just don't feel like they're in control of their life anymore. So having a reverse mortgage, it's a nest egg. It gives them a feeling of, I have something to fall back on. I'm not going to be a burden to my children. I'm not going to do without, which, sometimes elders, they actually don't tell their kids they're struggling, and they do without, which is a real shame. They paid for the house, they raised their kids. They really need to be able to say to themselves, I deserve to have this nest egg and be able to have things I need. So, I do a lot of talking with the potential borrowers, and we figure out what was really in their best interest, and oftentimes encourage their children, their advisor, whether it's a CPA or an elder law attorney. I love for them to have whoever they rely on to support their decisions be right there to learn all about the mortgage at the same time. So,
and just like we were talking about the COVID shot is something you do for yourself, but it's also it's something you do for those around you that you care for, because you certainly don't want to be spreading it to them if you happen to pick it up and it's asymptomatic. But I would almost say the reverse mortgage kind of functions like that. At first, you might think, well, I'm harming my kids because I'm going to take money out of the house. I want to leave the house to them. But the reality is you could actually be giving them peace of mind, because they're not going to have to be trying to figure out how to help supplement what's going on. And like you said, as house prices climb up, it's not that the bank owns your house. It's actually you do have a stake in your house. In fact, you have the majority stake.
Exactly.
And you could pay off that loan at any time that you would so choose.
That's right. Or all along the way that you have it. Absolutely. It couldn't be more flexible. And I have to say, many, many times it's the adult children, who have made the initial inquiry about getting with their mother, their dad, and educating the parent on the product, because the children see it as a wonderful resource for their parents. That happens as much as the parent, as the elder calling me.
Wow.
The kids nobody really wants their parents to struggle or do without, or they just don't. It's very rare to come across self-interest, kids that have more self-interest than what's best for their parents. That's rare.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. So We're about to take our mid-show break. I want to be sure that we share the phone number to reach Barbara McIntyre, Reverse Mortgage Funding. What's that number?
That number is 321-259-7880. 321-259-7880.
And when we come back on the other side of the mid-show break, we're going to continue a conversation with like 3 main points why now is a good time to think about reverse mortgages. And we'll talk about the Helping Seniors car raffle. Lots of great events coming up. Grab a piece of paper and a pencil because stuff you're going to want to write down.
You're listening to Helping Seniors of Brevard as we get back to the show. Once again, here's your host and the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard, Kerry Fink. Kerry?
Thank you, John Harper, and it's a pleasure to have you join us on Lunch Hour Wednesday. Every Wednesday is Helping Seniors Radio. Great senior information radio here in Brevard County on 30,000 watt FM 90.3 WEJF. You know, it's a crystal clear, strong signal, just blasts up and down the Space Coast all the way. We laughingly say from Miko to Mims. And then also people listening from literally all over on WEJF.net. And so if you're listening to the show today, by the way, and there was something that was important or useful or helpful to you, which I certainly hope would be the case, we always archive every radio program, every TV program, all the Helping Seniors updates we do, all the articles that you find in Senior Scene Magazine, Hometown News, they all get archived. So it is a great body of knowledge, I would say,
Yes.
at helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. And if you're a Facebook person, you follow us, like us at Helping Seniors of Brevard. And if you are a YouTube person, you can find the Helping Seniors of Brevard channel, and all these different videos, the audio from the radio shows is available and everything. So you can share it with somebody, because that's what happens a lot of times. Barbara McIntyre, who is our guest today from Reverse Mortgage Funding, a lot of times people will hear something, and you know how when you hear something and you say, oh, this would be perfect for so-and-so.
Right.
I wish they had been listening. Mm-hmm. Now you can just say, I'm going to find that show, and I'm going to email that link over to so-and-so, and then they're going to be better off for it. At least that's our hope as we go along.
Absolutely. I have been speaking to people that have called me wanting information and then shared a link from a radio show that I think really kind of gave a real good tutorial of the overview. And I've actually just said, here, I'm going to send you a link. Listen to this. And this will also, I've done that. So it's great.
It's a little bit of a time saver. I know I've had the conversation. Bill Johnson, a board certified elder law attorney who's been friends with Joe Steckler, our president and founder, going way, 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 way back into Brevard Alzheimer's days. But, I said, this must be a good tool for you, because when somebody comes in, you must get like the same 10 questions right off the bat. And it's not that it's not that they're not important. They're the right questions to ask.
Exactly.
But what a time saver it is if you say, listen, this is kind of like a primer. Watch this, and then we'll be able to have, it's like when you call technical support. The first level, that person's job is to say, have you turned it off and turned it back on? And then after you go, yes, I've done that. Okay, now we'll move you to tier 2 technical support, and where you're really going to get some answers.
Right.
But we're talking. I actually wanted to start this segment of the show going ka-ching, because this is about money. Right. And one of the things that we want to talk about with the reverse mortgage, we spent a little bit of time at the beginning of the first half of the show, or actually as we went through it, we were talking about the fact that this can give you some money that is liquid that you can work with to do the things that you need to do to be able to age successfully at home. And, we've talked about this. People have different reasons for needing to access the equity in their homes. But what I really wanted to focus in this half of the show was, you and I had done a TV program not so long ago. We called it the three great reasons to look at a reverse mortgage. And really the timing could never be better, because I think, if I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head, but one of the reasons was what your house is worth. Right. Number 2 was about the interest rates.
Exactly.
And number 3 was with the uncertainty about what may happen in the future. It doesn't matter if you're optimistic or pessimistic. I would argue life is better viewed glass half full. But,
I agree.
and those of us with faith totally get that. But the premise is still the same.
Right.
You're going to have more options if you have some more capital that you can work with, and this is a way to do it. So can we maybe take this apart piece by piece? Why is this a good time? Why do home values being as high as they are, you would think, well, now's a great time for me to sell. But the problem is then you have to buy something else,
Exactly.
right?
That's right. And when values are high for doing a refinance on your existing home and that value is high, if you sell the house and you turn around to buy another, you're still working in the same market. So the purchase price on the house you might buy is also high. So everything is relative. The big decision is, do I really want to stay in my own house or not? And the reverse mortgage can also be used to purchase a home. So it's not that selling and buying another house is necessarily a wrong choice, but it's how you might use a reverse mortgage to help you accomplish the goal. As far as refinancing and staying in your home and accessing the ability to tap into funds, that's the wonderful part about a reverse mortgage, because you can actually structure it just like a home equity line of credit you might get from a bank, but you don't have the obligation of repaying it on a monthly basis. And that ability to borrow that line of credit, it can never be canceled or reduced or call due. As a matter of fact, the line of credit, the available line of credit, it's kind of a head scratcher, but it actually gives you increased borrowing power, gives you access to more and more of your equity over the years to come. And that's just part of how reverse mortgages are structured. So putting a reverse mortgage in place when you're 62 or older and just letting it sit there attached to your home can give you access to 3 times as much equity, 20 years from now. Matter of fact, that's what I did on my own home. So I put a reverse mortgage on my home when I turned 62, and that line of credit continues to grow and grow and grow. My plan is that the funds that have grown and are still never reduced, never canceled, never called due, when I'm probably in my 80s and I decide that I need assistance in my home and for meal preparation or all the different things that I might need as I age, I have this resource of these funds that have been put in place all these years earlier. It's my long-term health care plan. So that's one of the things you can do with it. It's the most flexible loan you could imagine.
As you were talking about that, I keep, you're a young whippersnapper, okay? Because when I talk to the people who work with a lot of the assisted living homes in the area, to them, 92, 95 is starting to get old.
Yeah.
I mean, they're celebrating birthday parties for people who are turning 102 like almost every day.
It's happening more all the time.
And so putting this into place at the right time is really a good plan for the future. And I was thinking about this. So you have 2 options. Remember how we talked in the first half of the show about the little graphic on the left side of the screen, there was 18 people who had to go to the hospital because of COVID. And on the right side of the screen, 489 people had to go to the hospital because of COVID because they'd never had the shots.
Right.
And so this is kind of that same graphic. So you imagine 2 sides of the screen. One says, I'm just going to go down and I'm going to get a regular home equity loan. Mm-hmm. And then the other side of the screen says, I'm going to go down and I'm going to talk about a reverse mortgage loan. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking just what you're talking about. So the property values are high, which means either loan could probably help you tap into the equity in your home the right way. But then I was thinking okay, but what happens if house values were to go backwards and you had a regular home equity mortgage? Now you're back to that underwater thing, right?
Well, if we can remember back to 2008, that's exactly what happened when the housing values dropped. And if anybody had a home equity line of credit, and I had one back then, you might remember getting a letter from your lender telling you that line of credit that they had offered you was now cut in half. Let's say they told you could borrow $25,000, but we know now that your house value has declining, so we're not going to let you have access to that anymore. We're only going to let you have access to maybe $10,000, and Oh, by the way, you already borrowed that $10,000, so you no longer have access to the line of credit.
Wow.
And people received those letters daily in 2008. And every single home equity line of credit that is available to borrowers back then and today has a date that that loan is due and payable with a principal and interest. It's reamortized to a principal and interest payment. Well, home lines of credit in reverse mortgages can't be canceled. They
Wow.
can't be reduced. There is no due date. So all of those things that happen to we call them the HELOCs, the home equity lines of credit that banks offered, none of that can happen to a reverse mortgage line of credit. So when you really know the facts about the two different options, it's just if you're retired or if you're 62 or older, it makes no sense at all. And to do that type of loan that can absolutely be reduced, canceled, called, and it's called due. There's a point in time when you can't borrow it on it anymore. Usually that's 10 years.
And so in this case with the reverse mortgage, none of that applies. But the second reason, or the second area to think about, is because these interest rates are at kind of almost historic lows.
Right.
And that plays into this whole equation,
It
too.
sure does. So we talk about the home value. As high as home values are, that's one of three factors that determines what a borrower can have access to. The second thing is the interest rate. With reverse mortgages, the lower the interest rate, the higher the amount of money, the larger the amount of money, the percentage of your home's value you can tap into. And the third thing is your age. So if you're 62, your loan to value, we call it, is going to be lower than if you were 82. The older you are, the higher the percentage of the value of the home you're going to be eligible for. And obviously that's because it's assumed that a 62-year-old is going to live a lot longer than an 82-year-old, and so that's why that equation comes into play. But the two biggest factors are the value of the home and the low interest rate. The lower the rate, the higher the benefit to the borrower. So that's why we do say that this is a perfect time if you are curious about it. It's just a great time to take a look. There's never any obligation to calling any lender and just asking what might the benefit be, because those factors are what they are. Here's your age, here's your home value, here's our interest rate, and when you do the calculation, here's what you could access. And then so it's worth looking into.
And I think the third factor that probably plays into this is with all that disinformation that was out there earlier about reverse mortgages, the third factor is you really are 100% in control of this whole financial transaction from start to finish, right?
Absolutely.
Because let's just pretend, I'm just asking this question, let's pretend house values didn't go down, they tripled, I don't know, over the next 10 years. Potentially, you always reserve the right to go and pay off that loan and do a refinance. I mean, I'm saying it's like you have no downside, but you could still benefit from an upside.
Yes, that's right, Kerry, because you definitely can take advantage in the future of even higher home values. We definitely, as an industry, as a reverse mortgage industry, we have agreed to make sure that the only time we refinance these senior loans is when the benefit to the borrower is going to be significant.
Right.
And we do that to protect the senior consumer, to make sure that they aren't being told to refinance unless that benefit is significant, because there's always cost to doing a mortgage. Florida is an expensive state to do any mortgage transaction, because that's how Florida earns revenue. We don't have employment taxes. We don't charge that. So one of the things the state charges is mortgage transactions as a revenue stream. So because it's a senior mortgage, we really only refinance when the benefit is significant and it's in the best interest of the borrower. But you can refinance, and And to be perfectly honest, with rates so low, there have been a lot of refinances this year by people who did the loan a number of years ago. They took advantage of lower interest rates and the higher values because that gave them more access to funds.
If you think about it, right? Because who would have thought, if you looked at the house value, say 5 years ago and what they've jumped up to. So it's like if they were to continue to jump up, you benefit. If they happen to, God forbid, fall the other direction, you still benefit because you locked everything in.
You absolutely did, and that's another huge reason to look at this mortgage. It doesn't, once you do the mortgage, once you do this loan and put it in place, you're completely insulated from a declining housing market. You're completely insulated. And again, your only obligations to pay your property taxes, which you have to do whether you have a loan or not, or they'll sell your house on the courthouse steps. You have to maintain homeowners insurance, which you would, because if your house had a catastrophic event, they wouldn't build it back for you if you didn't have homeowners insurance. And the last thing is you live in the house as your primary residence, which is what is required for reverse mortgages. So people, again, as they really learn the details, they always say, well, why wouldn't I do the mortgage? And I'm like, well, we have to talk about that. And why you wouldn't would probably be because you really don't plan to stay in your home and age in place. And if your long-term plan is to a couple years from now move in with your kids somewhere else and live with them, then no, it's not a good mortgage for you to do. So that's what we talk about, and we decide, what's in your best interest as a
Well, I have to imagine that's why your phone is ringing off the hook these days, and you've actually had to go and get more help to solve all and make sure. Because I know you get calls from people from all over the country. Will see these videos or hear the radio show, and actually, to be honest, sometimes those TV ads probably work in your favor because somebody will see something and they'll go, "I saw this guy talking about this."
Tom Selleck, he's still my beating heart.
and yet you're the one that's really kind of like with your ear to the ground, all the ins and outs, and you can answer all the questions. How do people, so let's go one more time. How do people get in touch with you?
Very easily. Just call my phone number at 321-259-7880. 321-259-7880. And I will, if I can't answer it, just leave me a message and I will get back to you the second that I can.
Yeah, and you have always been so gracious and kind with your time to not only help people when they call in, but also just giving your time, like when you come down to the radio program and are willing to share your experience and your wisdom in this area. So it's very much a blessing to everybody who's on the radio broadcast too, and who will hear this later. So with that, we're going to kind of shift gears one more time. We're going to talk some fun stuff. As a charity, the Helping Seniors organization, we're now in our 10th year. We do very, very serious work. For 10 years, we've operated the county senior information helpline. That's that free call to 321-473-7770. And Kim Bernard, who's our education specialist, she's on the other side of that phone and helping seniors on a daily basis. I mean, since this organization started, we've helped nearly 4,000 families free of charge, getting them connected to information that makes a difference. And the question always comes up, well, how do you pay for it? Well, we can't reverse mortgage helping seniors. It would be a great idea. So what we have to do is Joe has been effective at coming up with great fundraisers over the year, and probably one of the top ones, at least for us in the helping seniors world. He and AJ Heyer started this back when Joe was building those Joe's clubs, and they were trying to figure out, well, we got to find a way that's going to be fun that helps people get involved in raising the money necessary to do the community service that the organization does. And so for 10 years now, we've been on that post doing that. And so this is now actually our 5th annual Helping Seniors car raffle. And it all comes to the big festive evening at the American Muscle Car Museum, which will happen, get your pencil ready, Saturday evening, October 9th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And Barb, you've been there. You've seen what this event is like.
Yeah, huge place, amazing cars, exciting. waiting to hear your name get pulled out and told you just won a car.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I was pulling some stats on the American Muscle Car Museum because we just put out some announcements onto FloridaCarShows.com, which is a place that all car enthusiasts go to get information about where car shows are going to be and things going on. And I was reading that he has over 360. He's got like a car for every day of the year. His collection has grown. And we were talking about now when you go in, he's got a lot of what I call these double stacks. He's got a car on the floor and then he's got a car on top of it because the collection just keeps growing, even though it's 2 football fields long. Unbelievable when you walk around in there and you see the number of cars. And the statistic is he has over 100 cars in there that have under 100 miles on them. So it's like they pulled them off the showroom floor and they are there. And over 50 cars that were involved in the Indianapolis 500 pace. They're either cars or trucks. He's got 50 of those. I mean, and so just being able to go in there and wander around and see that is fantastic by itself. But then when you cap it together, like you're saying, with the whole festive evening, they always have beer, wine, soda, water, everything, some snacks for people to snack upon. But the real excitement comes down to that moment when Joe, Mark, and Mark's wife, Tatiana, get together around that big golden drum. And she spins it and then reaches her hand in and pulls out the winning ticket. And it was so funny because we've been doing this thing I'm going to tell you a little bit about called Automotive August, where we have been going to each of the Boniface Hires dealerships around the county to look at the cars that you can choose from if you're the winner in the Helping Seniors car raffle. And so last week we were out at Boniface Hires Kia, and the lady who won 2019, she brought her Dodge Challenger out. There's actually, we put up footage of that on the Helping Seniors Facebook page, and you can see that. She was out there. She brought the car that she actually won that night and was sharing that, hey, you need to get your ticket because that's what happened to her. She walked it. She said, I bought 5 tickets on my way into the museum that night and had no idea. And so you can look at the footage because Mark Pylock, after his wife pulled out the winning number, he holds it up, starts reading it number by number, and the audience gets like really quiet. Is it my number? It's my number. They get down to the last number, and she's just standing there, and the other people around her are like poking at her going, that's you. You won. And she was in such shock and disbelief. But October 9th, it could be you. You could be that winner.
Oh, man.
It could be you, Barb.
I'm hoping so. I'm counting on it.
And all you have to do, but you can't win if you're not in it to win it.
That's right.
So you have to get your car tickets. How do you get your car raffle tickets? Well, you can always call Kim at our Helping Seniors office, 321-473-7770. It's really simple. 1 ticket is $25, 5 tickets for a $100 donation. Each ticket, by the way, is your admit one to the American Muscle Car Museum. So if you buy 5 tickets, put them all in your name, but then invite 4 friends, and you guys can all go out, friends, family, colleagues, whatever. You can all enjoy that great night at the American Muscle Car Museum. But listen, this year, because we were not able to have people in the museum last year on account of COVID, Mark Pylock said, I want to give everybody a chance to get into the museum. So there is a bonus day this year. We're calling it Sunday at the Museum. Sunday, September 12th, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. is your chance to go in with your 2020 Helping Seniors car raffle ticket and enjoy the museum. But we're going to open it up to any Helping Seniors car raffle ticket. Doesn't matter if you got one 5 years ago, we'll let you in. If you didn't have one before, you have a 2021 ticket, you're in. So it'll be a 3-hour afternoon, beautiful Sunday afternoon at the museum where you can just wander around and enjoy, because every car has a story. You go in there, it's not like, oh, that's a Camaro. There is like detail about why that Camaro is there. You've seen it.
Yeah, it's a great place. It's a wonderful evening to take your, get some friends together and go, or even some grandkids. It's just amazing to see the stories and look at those cars.
Yeah, you can't go check out a movie or go bowling for that. So you're doing 3 things when you get those tickets. Number 1, you're helping continue the work of Helping Seniors, so we could be around another 10 years. Number 2, you could win a car Very possibly. It's not like you're playing the lotto and there's mega millions playing, mega millions playing for mega millions. This is like local people, and there's a few thousand tickets, and your odds are actually pretty good when you break it down that way. But everybody's a winner because you'll be in that American Muscle Car Museum. Again, you don't have to be present to win, but there's 2 dates now, September 12th, that you can come out and enjoy the museum, and also grand drawing now of October 9th. Now, to this weekend, plenty of chances for you to come out and check out the cars. So what we've been doing in the month of August, we called it Automotive August. We've been visiting because the winner chooses from 4 cars. So first Saturday of the month, we were at the Mazda dealership. Boniface hires Mazda right there on US 1 at NASA. And we were checking out the Mazda Miata. Last weekend, we made our way over to AJ's new Kia dealership and checked out that Kia Sportage. And it was cool, Barb. They had a Stormtrooper white Kia out there, and it was the Sportage is a very cool, very stylish, and very practical, very good on gas kind of car that they have out there too. Uh-huh. And then this weekend, this is fun because if you remember last year, because of the how it goes between Team Dodge and Team Chevy, it's like college football teams, right? Uh-huh. So some people were on Team Dodge, some people were on Team Chevy because some people like the Challenger, some people like the Camaro. So this Saturday we're going to be out at AJ Hire's brand spanking new dealership. People know that for years he was on Merritt Island, but he's built a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art dealership facility because he has the Dodge, the Chrysler, the Jeep, the Ram. He has all of them in that one building. And so from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Cocoa, so it's right on 520, just east of I-95, from 11 to 1 a.m., our board member, and we're calling him our pit master certified. He makes great barbecue. There's free barbecue lunch. Come on out, get your car raffle ticket, get up close and personal with the Dodge Challenger. Following weekend, we'll be down at Boniface Hires Chevrolet to check out the Camaro. But this weekend, it's all about the Dodge Challenger, and we hope that we will see you there. So we'll look forward to having you get involved in the Helping Seniors Car Raffle. HelpingSeniorsCarRaffle.com is a great place to get info. Call Kim Bernard, 321-473-7770. You can pick up tickets at any Boniface Hires dealership, or Barb McIntyre, you have them too, right?
I do. So you can call me and I can get those tickets to you also.
And that number?
321-259-7880.
And when you call her, you're going to ask about the tickets, and you're going to also say, hey, I heard you guys talking about reverse mortgage. Help me on that too.
That would be my pleasure.
All right. Well, thank you, Barbara McIntyre, for being here. We will join you next week on the Helping Seniors Radio Show, lunchtime, Wednesday, 12 noon, right here on 90.3 FM, WEJF.